This is Listen Lakeland, the show that keeps you up to date on all the things that make our city a great place to live, work, and play. Today's host built her career in communications and public relations after graduating from Florida Southern College. As the president and CEO of the Lakeland Chamber of Commerce, she's charged with making Lakeland a place where business can prosper through advocacy, professional development, and education. She's on the boards of Lakeland Now, Polk Arts Alliance, and Lakeland Vision. Please welcome your host, Amy Wiggins.
Welcome to the good life.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Amy Wiggins, and I'm thrilled to be hosting this month's episode of Listen Lakeland. This show is an extension of Lakeland Vision. For more than 2 decades, Lakeland Vision has been a voice for the citizens of Lakeland, working with community stakeholders to create a bright future for our city. Today on Listen Lakeland, I'm joined by the team from GMF Steel Group, and they are here to tell us a little bit more, not only about their business, but also about a very special apprenticeship program that they are launching, and we're thrilled to be able to highlight how that fits into Lakeland's overall vision for great jobs for folks, continuing education, and an overall outstanding quality of life. So I'm going to start by introducing Sara Vespa and Sara Taylor. We'll try not to get too confused today. But Sara Vespa, tell me a little bit about who you are and what your role is at GMF.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you for having us. Like you said, my name is Sara Vespa. I am the General Counsel and Risk and Compliance Manager for GMF Steel Group. So I oversee, my background is I was an attorney by trade. I was a litigator, and I had some emphasis in labor and employment. So when I came into the organization, I started overseeing HR functions, payroll, and that sort of grew. Obviously now I oversee contracts, but the HR function grew into employee development and engagement. That's something that I'm super passionate about. So sort of marrying risk and compliance, because our apprenticeship program reports to state and federal agencies. I kind of get to do the best of both worlds with this program.
That's awesome. And you brought with you Sara Taylor.
Yes.
So
Hi.
Sara, tell us a little bit about who you are and what your role is.
Of course. Well, like Sara Vespa said, thank you so much for having us. I graduated from Troy University in Troy, Alabama. I'm originally from Nashville, Tennessee. Ended up at Troy playing Division I volleyball. So majored in communications there. As soon as I graduated, I started at GMF Steel Group. So started as really a bid coordinator, learning the process of construction, because I had never had that exposure in the construction industry before. So GMF really took me in and taught me the industry. And from there, I really took on marketing and on a really small scale, handling events. And then on a larger scale, now I oversee our campaigns. I oversee our talent acquisition, and that's how Sara and I work together a lot. So it's my job to get them in the door, and we work together to retain them. So really hiring A-level talent, because how we recruit is our brand and what people view, how people view GMF.
Yeah. So I love that you kind of learned about the construction industry through your role here at GMF. So let's start by learning a little bit about GMF. What lines of service do you have? What are your products? And who are you hiring? Who are those folks that you're looking for?
Yeah, so we are an AISC certified fabricator and erector, and AISC means the American Institute of Steel Construction, which is really just a quality standard for us. But we're AISC certified. We're a fabricator and an erector, which sets us apart from a lot of steel contractors. Typically, they're usually one or the other. So it really puts us ahead. The same steel that's going on our job site comes from our shop. So really make sure that safety and quality is always there.
Right.
But we serve almost all industries. We serve entertainment, amusement, healthcare, education. Some of the projects we've done on a very large scale is Harry Potter World, for example, Toy Story Land, JW Marriott, the University of Florida Baseball Stadium.
I feel like everybody that's listening or watching right now just kind of went,
They all do. But on a local scale, some of the local projects we've done here in Lakeland is the NOAA Hangar, the Publix headquarters expansion project, part of Joker Merchant Stadium. We've also done several of Southeastern's buildings there, part of Cumbie Elementary, Lakeland Regional Cancer Center, which is a newer project. and Brew Hub, which I know is, a local staple.
Yes.
So not only have we had our hands throughout the Southeast, but we've also have a huge part of being really involved in our community here in Lakeland.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you're hiring everybody from the welders and iron workers on up to people who are on site and project managers and site managers in the construction and erection of the buildings, right?
Exactly. We do all of our recruiting in-house.
Okay.
So we don't outsource really any of it, but we recruit everyone from ironworkers to executive level management. And we have a really huge responsibility of getting people from all over. I mean, that's a reason why we went to 10 career fairs this past spring and just meeting students to get them in our door.
So have you seen I guess that's a silly question. Tell me how you've seen the construction industry change over the last few years. I would imagine technology is really advancing and making your industry kind of do a couple of pivots.
Certainly. And I wish I had my construction executive, Jeremy Turner, here this is something that he feels super passionate about. But yes, I mean, we pride ourselves in the advancement and implementation of technology. We want to be leading the way and setting the industry standard in every aspect of quality, safety, and just our work out on the job sites. I know we spend a lot of time in advance planning and making sure that our jobs are running, as efficiently as possible. We do time studies to make sure that our piece counts, the pieces of steel that we're getting erected in the field, that they're going up in the adequate amount of time and where we're going to be able to find those efficiencies. We build the job with a digital twin. So, and the field staff gets a playbook every day. They are knowing exactly what pieces they're going to put up, where their bolts are going to go every day, by the minute, by the hour, so that, we can see those efficiencies.
In the community, and even before I started, it's just like, things get built.
Right.
But
here's the building.
Actually seeing the process of, like Sara said, creating what's going on the job site digitally first and tracking every single piece that's going onto a job site. There's so much more that people don't really know about or can't wrap their heads around it.
No, absolutely. I think so much of our kind of traditional industries like construction and manufacturing have just become so much more technology reliant that it is difficult to put that into some scope that people can understand, because most of us have experience with the technology in our pockets and our phones or the devices at our houses. And so it's challenging, I think, to think about, basically building a digital model of the Lego Millennium Falcon or whatever it is that you're going to build and knowing exactly what goes in. I think that's incredible. And we could probably do a whole show just about that, but that's not why we're here today. I want to make sure that we talk about the apprenticeship program and what that means, not only to GMF, but also to our community. That is phenomenal for us to be kind of developing our own steelworkers and giving another career path, another line for folks to travel in. So who wants to tell me how that came about?
Sure, I can start. I think it's a labor of love. I mean, this started, this is months, if not years in the making. I think we're very lucky that our ownership team and our executive team in particular have that vision, and they provide us with, the resources and the guidance and the coaching to, help us take those ideas that we have and that they have and then run with them and develop, fully robust programs. This apprenticeship program is, just the same. It started with a desire to train. I think you would find that, it's a common refrain, right? That the trades are, historically, I don't want to say historically, but in recent history, sort of overlooked. Certainly that was the case when I was coming out of, years ago, when I was coming out of high school. There was a main focus for a college-bound path.
Right.
Even for kids that were going to what used to be community colleges, they are now state colleges. College wasn't really a fit for them, but they were just pushed towards that. And I think that there wasn't a fully built out, robust sort of education for what those options were in the trades, that you can build a career and you can make a good living and you can provide, wonderful opportunities for yourself. You can travel the country, the world, building really cool jobs in an ironworking program.
Right. So locally, Tell me, first of all, let's start with, what does it take to become an iron worker? Is that a certified position? How much schooling does it take? How would people, prior to the apprenticeship program, how would folks go through that path?
So I think what you would see historically is you kind of fell into the ironworking trade, right? It was a matter of proximity. You went to a job site with your dad, your uncle, your cousin, your friend, your neighbor, someone, and then you just sort of fell in love with building stuff.
Right. And
you just learned by osmosis, right? You were just on the job site. We want to change that. We want to advertise this program. We want to have homegrown folks here that have a connection to the community and to GMF, where it's just like a college application, right? Everyone knows when our apprenticeship program application goes live, and they're just flooding it. They want to get in. In terms of schooling and accreditation, our program specifically, and most programs are 3 to 3.5 years. Our program is 36 months.
Okay.
It is NCCER certified, which is the National Center for Construction Education and Research.
Okay.
That is recognized by state agencies and federal agencies. So our program is also certified with the State Department of Education, and through that, the United States Department of Labor. So what that will mean is, upon successful completion of our program, you will get, you'll be a certified journeyman iron worker. And certainly we hire to retire. We want you to stay with us. We have so many career paths that you can follow as an iron worker. You can stay out in the field. You can make lateral moves. You can do whatever you want to do. We have that laid out very specifically for folks to see that. But life happens, and we recognize that. So it's like a diploma is how it functions.
That's
they can
phenomenal.
take that nationwide.
That's great.
Not only do we do, industry standards in our program, in that curriculum, but also very specific GMF training and professional development as well, because I think one of our loftier aspirations is to sort of overhaul how young kids see their career in the trades, that it is a career, and that, they're on job sites and it's a profession.
I really appreciate that, and I think that that's an example that our kind of corporate college and career folks have led with, and there's value to bringing some of those soft skills, those look me in the eye, positive handshake, because is it possible too that graduates of the program down the road might even be starting their own businesses and would need some of those soft skills?
Oh, potentially, for sure. I mean, and I think you've got a prime example for us is Hiskael Morel, who couldn't be here today because we kicked off our program and he is teaching. But he was a journeyman iron worker, and he went back to school and got his degree in teaching, and he's very comfortable. He's at home when he's teaching and instructing and mentoring. And so he got to come in off his tools, and he stopped our president and managing partner, Andy Norman, in the parking lot and said, I've researched this. These are statistics and how these programs increase retention and how you build efficiencies in the field, and it drives profitability. And I just would really feel passionate about this opportunity. And he got it, so he helped build out this curriculum, and he's teaching it now. So there are opportunities that you wouldn't even think of, that flow from these programs.
So through those 36 months, take me through the first year, let's say. What are students, and could you call them students or just apprentices?
We call them apprentices.
So what are apprentices experiencing in that first year?
Yeah, so 40 hours a week on the job training, and then every other Friday they will be in a classroom setting. They will be learning safety, like core curriculum on job site safety. They will be learning, just introduction to the trade. They're going to learn the math and science that goes with it. They're going to learn blueprint drawings, and they're going to learn how to lay pieces out, and they're going to learn what it means for, to operate the crane and hand signals, things like that. So it's really just broken down by 3 years, and Hiskael could give you very, very specific semesters. But it's, it's everything you need to know to be a journeyman iron worker and to be comfortable out on that job site. I think for a lot of the young kids that are coming out, because a good bit of our apprentices are straight out of school, or they're 1 or 2 years out, and they're just not sure what they wanted to do with their life. But construction sites, I mean, Sara could speak to it, I could speak to it. They're very intimidating, especially now. To your point, the technology is advanced. They're fast-paced. Heavy commercial construction sites in particular, I mean, they're just rugged. the materials that we use are rugged.
Right.
It's, you've got cranes flying steel beams up the air. You got guys walking those steel beams, tens, hundreds of feet in the air. You've got welders tied off and they're, basically just wielding, sticks of molten lava, forging these beams together. So it can be intimidating, and getting them comfortable on those job sites and knowing that they have the skills to go out there and be successful is a critical aspect of the program.
I'm just enamored with the whole thing. I'm curious to know what types of barriers were there besides just, I guess, lack of kind of connectivity with the trades. But what barriers were there to people in Lakeland getting their journeyman ironworker certification?
So one barrier is a program didn't exist, right? We're the first of our kind in Central Florida open shop program to have
That's
this.
phenomenal.
Yes.
Great.
I think, like I said, largely the barriers to entry were getting over that intimidation factor and knowing where to go. So now that folks know, we had, thanks to Sara's team's phenomenal recruiting, we had over 60 applicants in a matter of 2 weeks for our inaugural class. I mean, that's unheard of. So
how many are in the inaugural class?
15.
15. Yes, we can host
Wow.
15.
Okay.
Yes.
That's amazing. And you have to be 18, correct?
You have to be 18.
Yes.
Okay.
And we shoot for them to be local because, they have to make it to the job sites, have to make it to the class. So, but the main barrier is you have to be 18. From there, we can talk.
That's amazing.
You have to be physically able to perform. You can't be afraid of heights. But 18 and really just a personal commitment. That's kind of the biggest barrier that, for young folks that don't know what they want to do. 3 years of schooling is a commitment. But other than that, I mean, we're paying for it. They're getting paid to go to school and to learn a trade. They're getting paid 40 hours at a minimum, a lot of times overtime. They just have to be willing to invest in themselves, and we're going to invest back in them.
Yeah, and they don't have to pay a single dime. Whereas compared
Right.
to where they would go, typically they could go to a union, but then you have to pay dues. So there are more commitments for them and more investments. Whereas for us, they just have to show up and have to be committed. And we're going to pay them, like Sara said, you're a full-time employee with GMF. You receive benefits, you receive the PTO, you receive all those aspects to it, but you're also learning a trade.
Well, and to your point, they're also learning how to be employees, right? How many 18-year-olds have had that experience to know what PTO even means, right? I mean, that's a important part of the whole experience to me, is being able to have that on-the-job training, as you described it. I think that kind of excites me. I think that's a really special.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, for the young kids, I think a big message that our leadership team at GMF that is pushed down from the top is being good stewards of your people and your community. So paying that forward, giving them the resources to make good financial choices, right? Explaining to them what 401k match means, explaining to them how they need to do that from day one. When you're young, you don't think about that, and you're missing out on those kinds of opportunities.
Yeah, it's great training, and there are probably some adults my age that would really benefit from the opportunity to kind of go back to basics and figure out all of those things. So how tremendous that these 15 students are going to be set out for success from the very beginning. So tell me a little bit about then the next class. When will that class open for enrollment?
So a little bit of that is dependent on when jobs are starting, right?
Okay.
It'll kind of ebb and flow in that regard, but we anticipate 6 months from now.
Oh gosh, wow. Okay.
We would open it up to the next class.
And even after we finish the recruiting for this class, I mean, we have already had more applicants for the next class. So getting to just house them and wait for that next class is really exciting.
I know. So I had the fortune to be at the ribbon cutting to kind of kick off this class. And it was so much fun. I got to speak to one of the apprentices, and I said, so were there like hard questions? And she said, And she, by the way, she said, because this is a co-ed class,
Yep.
there are folks from, I can tell, all walks of life, really excited just to be a part of that program. And she said, it was a lot like a job interview. And I thought, what a great experience for her to be part of. It wasn't just, do you want to go to school, but it was also, do you want to be a part of this career, which was great. So can you tell me a little bit about the interview process? And
Absolutely. We took probably 3 full days with, a couple of days here and there, 3 full days of just interviewing these candidates. Having them show up for an interview and meeting them for about 30 minutes and just asking, about their story. I mean, that's the first question we ask really any applicant for any position is tell me your story. Let me learn about you. Whereas I think of a lot of other interviews, it's tell me your background, tell me your job experience. Whereas for us, it's just like, tell me who you are. Tell me who Amy is. What makes you passionate? What drives you forward? And those are the questions we ask. So we learn about them, learn why they didn't want to go to school, why they like working with their hands, maybe building Legos growing up, but, just learning about them. And through that process, we find little nuggets about them. And we have one apprentice who is a certified welder, and she is a girl. And through the act of how we recruit and hire A-level talent and how we really go after those students and those candidates, we get a lot of diversity. I mean, more than a quarter of our class is female. And when you go out into a job site, you usually see, males out there, men who are working on those job sites, and getting to go out to these job sites and see females walking those beams is really exciting. Just, for me as a female, getting to represent, this construction industry and represent it well. But through that process, we take them and walk them through, okay, this is what the program looks like. This is what you can expect. And then we wait for a commitment from them,
Right.
Obviously we take notes internally, but they have to follow up with us and say, this is a commitment, and are you willing to make it? And are you willing to be a part of something bigger than yourself? And walking them through, okay, after 3 years, you will be a certified journeyman, but do you want to stay that?
Right.
Do you always want to be on your tools, or let's talk about, other career paths for you? And Jeremy, our construction executive, sat in those interviews with me, and we get to lay out a flow chart for them. And it shows, apprentice at the very beginning, and then obviously journeyman. And at the very top is his position, construction executive, and talking about you can be in that position one day if you want that. And if you want that, we will invest in you if you invest in yourself.
And I think one of my favorite moments we did a lot of icebreakers with our apprenticeship class when they all onboarded on Friday, and our entire project construction management team was there, our entire project executive team was there, project management team was there. And that is Lindsay, who does a lot of our HR onboarding. She said, this is a treat. Like it is so rare that you have these many people that are here at the time that you're onboarding, that you can see how big of an investment they're making in you, and they're going to pour into you, ask them all the questions you want. But one of my favorite icebreakers was, I said, okay, if you're on the project management team, raise your hand. And I said, there is a senior project manager that was a journeyman ironworker. He was out on his tools. Do you know who it was? And it was Lee Pointer, our senior project manager. And I just think that that's great, that they can see a visual representation of, I can learn this trade. I can learn it inside out. I can be the best professional I can be. And there are lateral moves. I can stay out there if that's what I want to do. And I'll be the best at it, but I can move laterally as well.
Well, and there's a mentorship element as well in that, because there is something that there's a career path that is tangible. It's not just on a computer screen or in a textbook somewhere, but it's actually right in front of them every day, which I think is the next kind of special part about what it is that is happening out at GMF Steel.
Yes. I think also, like Sara said, Hiskael is a great example. Started at GMF as a structural welder, then became a foreman, and then a superintendent, and now is our talent development. So these students, these apprentices, are with him every single day and get to have direct access to someone who has been with GMF for almost 5 years and get to see what that walk of life looks like, because we're going to walk with them. We're going to push them forward. We're going to challenge them and say, we will provide this for you. You just have to commit, you have to invest, and we're right there alongside of you to walk that path.
So tell me a little bit about how you would measure success in this program. So 6 months go by and you're looking at perhaps enrolling your next class of apprentices. What kind of outcomes are you looking for so that you know that this is working? And then part 2 of that question would be, do you have the capacity to expand to more than 15 if you're meeting your marks and if the state says everything's okay and the accreditation bodies say everything's okay?
Sure. So I think those questions I'll flow in and out of both of those.
Yes.
So testing capacity kind of drives what each individual class looks like, but who's to say that I can't have numerous classes going on at once, right? I can only test because you have to, it's very much like the SAT. You have to be certain feet apart. And it's on a computer program. So that kind of drives how many we can sit at any one time. But the measure of success for this program, for me, I think that there are very basic measures, right? For the individual apprentices, we're going to be able to see when they sit down and test whether the information that they're learning in the classroom, whether they're absorbing it. We're going to be able to get feedback from the on-site supervision, our construction management team, about how well they're performing, because they'll have performance verifications and evaluations as well. So those things are tangible, right? And we'll be able to see it in our retention rates as well. But I think success for me is just an overhaul of what our field staff, how they view their career. And I think also success, it has a business purpose too, right? I'd be disingenuous to say it doesn't, because what I want is superintendents that only want apprentices or journeymen that have come out of my program on their job site, because that job site is going to run more efficiently. The quality is going to be better. The safety is going to be safety is going to be there. It's going to be all built in. And the faster I can get that job up and done and off of that job site, the more and the more profitable it is, the more capacity I have to go take more work.
Right.
And that's going to drive our profitability, and that's going to be able to then in turn take that tool and reinvest it and build our apprenticeship program out even larger. So those go hand in hand for me. A successful program is an entire field staff of nothing but apprentices and journeymen through this program, and multiple programs running simultaneously.
That's exciting. Sara, would you agree?
Absolutely. I think, the retention rate is a huge aspect. And I think that's one thing we may not see the fruits of our labor until later, and that's okay. And I think, we're trying to, this is all about Lakeland, right? So getting these homegrown kids, students who want to stay in Lakeland and really want to be a part of an organization that they can grow with and that they feel a part of. Because I think it's very common that you're part of an organization, you come in, you clock in, do your work, and you clock out and leave. No impact is there. And one of our goals is to have an impact on those around us, right? And making sure they feel a part of an organization that is bigger than themselves. And they get to come to company events. They get to, go to our Raise game this summer and be a part of all of our family days. And so providing an organization that they feel a part of, feel very close-knit. And, the foundation for successful retention is excellent recruiting. So all of Sara's retention rates, are directly affected by me and vice versa. And it's just like the buildings we build. We can't build the projects we build without a good foundation. Yeah. And hometowns, it's very common that there is one company that everyone goes to. And so let's be that company. It's competitive to get in, but when you get in, it's tight-knit. We are a family here, and we're going to take care of you.
I love it. So tell me, as we wrap up, where can folks go to learn more about the apprenticeship program? GMFsteel.com?
Yep. They can email apprenticeship at gmfsteel.com. They can also access our website, gmfsteel.com. And if you're on LinkedIn, we've got many employees that as soon as you reach out to someone, they're going to connect you with the right person.
Awesome. Well, I am so grateful to both of you for being here today. Thank you again for everyone for tuning in today. Please visit our website at lakelandvision.org to participate in our monthly survey related to today's show topic.
I said, welcome to the good life.
Listen Lakeland is brought to you as a collaborative project between Lakeland Vision, the City of Lakeland, and Hall Communications, a community working together to provide an exceptional quality of life. Thank you for being with us.